It's time for the Sherwin-Williams Painting the Picture to Victory segment. Sherwin-Williams, the official paint provider of Duquesne Athletics. The Duquesne Dukes football team is on a 6-game win streak, the longest winning streak since 2018, after a 31-24 victory over Mercyhurst last week. Jamario Clements was recently named the NEC Offensive Player of the Week for the second time this season after charting 177 yards and scoring 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns to break a 17-17 tie and propel the Dukes to victory. Clements put Duquesne up 2 scores in the fourth quarter with an 86-yard run, which is the second longest in the Northeast Conference this season and ties for a program record for longest run in recorded history. The burst came just 2 plays after Ty Howard's interception in the red zone. Howard was named a prime performer for the 3rd straight game by the NEC after recording his 3rd takeaway in as many games. Duquesne moved to the top 25 national polls this week after 7 consecutive weeks of receiving votes. The Dukes are now 24th in the AFCA Coaches Poll and 25th in the Stats Perform Media Poll. It's the first time the Dukes are ranked since the spring 2021 season. It marks the first time they are ranked in both the Coaches and Media Poll since 2018. Duquesne welcomes fellow NEC unbeaten and local rival Robert Morris this week in the first matchup since 2019 as the Colonials return to the Northeast Conference this season. That was the Sherwin-Williams Painting the Picture to Victory segment. Sherwin-Williams is the official paint provider of Duquesne Athletics. Welcome back to the Duquesne University Coaches Show presented by UPMC and UPMC Health Plan, the official healthcare provider and health plan of the Duquesne Dukes. Tim Benz along with Duquesne football coach Jerry Schmitt, brought to us by Cordia, Creating Energy Solutions. Jerry, great to see you again. Congratulations on the victory. Last time out against Mercyhurst. Not the easiest of games for you guys, especially in the first half. Where do you think you guys got better in the second half of play to get yourself another victory?
Well, I think we were a little more efficient on offense. Obviously, we scored more points in the second half. We started out the game with a missed field goal and then turned the ball over on the one going in. So I think that affected our flow a little bit offensively, and maybe as a team also put the defense in a tough position. They were battling a good team, good offense, had a good game plan, and they controlled the clock. So I think what happened in the second half, we were able to get more plays, we were more efficient, we executed better, and then we got in a rhythm.
Let's talk about Darius's second half, because it wasn't just that one play to Joey. He had another one to Joey and then threw a beautiful deep ball to John Erby, who's going to join us a little bit later on.
Yeah, I think like I said, he got in a little rhythm, got a feel for the reads. They were trying to do a little bit different than what they had done in the past. And early on, some of his throws, as you said, he probably could have been more patient and waited for his reads, and he got a feel for it. At halftime, we talked to him, and he had a pretty good understanding of what was going on in that second half. And we used Jamario a lot in that second half, but I think Darius had a pretty good beat on it.
On the bomb that he hit to Erby, really nice throw. It was a little out in front, and Erby just ran right underneath it. What has he meant to this wide receiving core coming on board this season?
That was a great play for him. He had to accelerate and come up with that ball, and that's what he does. He's got great hands. He's got great focus and concentration. He's a veteran, been playing the game for a long time, and brought leadership to that room. It's his first year here with us. He was here in the spring, but he acclimated right away, got to know those guys, and he's voted team captain, which is rare when you come in as a transfer and you're 1 year left. But those guys appreciate him. He's added to that room with Joey and Teddy and Jermaine and those guys, and so it's really helped our passing game.
And someone we'll talk to him about, I imagine it's there, but you can probably speak to it too. There's got to be some sort of connection with Darius Parentis, seeing as how he hosted him at Rhode Island when Darius first went there, and now he's coming back to play with him for his last year in college ball.
Yeah, they played a little bit there for the first year, and we're witnessing that connection between the two more and more as the season goes on. And it's great to have, and you can tell those two have connection. But I would say Darius has a connection with all his guys. He's spreading the ball around.
On defense, you mentioned the game plan that Mercyhurst had against you guys. The Arena, who's a little quarterback, but boy, he makes the most out of everything he has. I think they threw the ball over 50 times. So talk to me about what they may have exploited early that you guys try to adjust moving forward?
Well, they were taking advantage of the short throws, and they did a good job understanding they weren't going to be able to run the ball based on how many guys we put in the box, and we're going to rally to the short throws. Well, he connected. He was good. Those guys got positive yardage. They weren't necessarily trying to make big plays. Anytime he dropped back for a 5-step deep ball, he struggled because of the pass rush. And so they did a really good job, and it forced our guys to cover the field, forced our guys to tackle well in space, and they used the clock well. They weren't in a hurry, and reduced some of the possessions for both teams. I thought it was a good game plan by that. Yeah.
You mentioned the pass rush, and one thing I'm curious about, I always like to talk to coaches about this, is when it comes strategically to trying to get home and win with 4 as opposed to when you blitz, when you bring the extra man. You guys seem to have some very well-timed blitzes and used added pressure effectively as that game went along.
Yeah, Coach Jacobs and his staff did a good job of making some adjustments, putting our guys in a position to get home, or even the pressure that we got on the tip ball and Ty Howard intercepted. Those kind of things affect the passing game. And so it worked out for us. They were relentless about it through 4 quarters, which is important, and then ended up helping winning the game at the end in the 4th quarter.
The one safety blitz that I specifically remember was from T.J. Jones. He made a great play there. Also, a nice return for you guys, too.
Really good. Happy to see him make some plays. He's been learning the system here. He came here in August, and he's learning the system, and he's getting better and better. He's a really good athlete, and we're hoping to expect more out of him in the future.
How good has Jack Dunkley been for you?
Oh, it's outstanding. Not only his ability on the field and, putting pressure on the quarterback. He is, it's his 2nd year here, but he's a leader amongst those younger guys. Great student athlete, great person, hard worker. Just love having him as part of this team.
So about Robert Morris coming up, they're back in the conference again. You guys had played 17 straight seasons before they left the NEC in 2020. What's it like having this rivalry back?
Well, it's great to have. It's kind of a little different for me being there for probably most of those 17 years, that you're not totally familiar with them. You're watching film now, and you haven't watched them for, 4 or 5 years. And so usually the conference teams, you have a pretty good idea, and these guys do a really good job. They're a really good team. Best defense in the conference right now. A couple shutouts and veteran quarterbacks and talented receivers, good offensive line. They're a really good football team.
Well, you led me down to my next question that I wanted to ask about them, and that is, with them having been in the Big South for the past couple of years, and you said you got familiar with them, is there a different look in terms of who they were able to recruit or how they're building their team that is more looks like the Big South now that they're back in the NEC at all?
Yeah, playing in that conference, they had to recruit to that conference, and they do a really good job recruiting and got some talented guys in there and utilize the transfer portal, and they've got good athletes all over the football field, and they're well coached. So,
as far as the stakes that are associated with this game, I mean, obviously there's a ton on the line. You guys are playing for first place. Whoever wins this game is going to be in the driver's seat for the NEC title moving forward. As if this game didn't have enough juice to it as it was because of the local rivalry, I imagine your guys are frothing at the mouth all the more just because of where both teams are in the standings. It's a good way to bring the rivalry back, that's for sure.
Right. It's awesome. It'll be a great game. Sure, ton of interest be at the game, and for us, we approach it. It's the biggest game of the year because it's the next game. But obviously, it's elevated here as we move down in the conference here, and stakes are high.
Did you miss it? Did you miss having Robert Morris as a conference rival?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, it's great playing those guys, and we know those guys. Coach does a great job, and I missed the drive.
Right.
That's an away game that's 20 minutes out the road, and totally enjoyed that part.
Well, I'm sure there are some days where you feel like you're going through the tunnel. It'd be easier to get to Central Connecticut State or something like that. But
yeah, well.
I get the point. You don't have to stay over and things like that. So it's convenient, that's for sure. But
yeah.
It's fun too, I imagine.
Yeah, there's no doubt. A lot of our guys know each other, and a lot of local guys and fans and alums, and so that's what it's all about. City of Pittsburgh, great rivalry, and We'll have fun on Saturday.
Well, Jerry, it's great to catch up with you again. Congratulations on the latest win. Best of luck against Robert Morris. Like you said, this one's going to be a lot of fun, and best of luck on Saturday.
Thanks, Tim.
All right, Jerry Schmitt, head coach of the Duquesne Dukes, with us here, brought to you by Cordia, creating energy solutions. And as we just mentioned, John Erby, wide receiver for the Duquesne Dukes, is coming up next here in the Duquesne University Football Coaches Show, brought to you by UPMC and the UPMC Health Plan, the official healthcare provider of Duquesne Athletics. Welcome back to Duquesne University Football Coaches Show. Tim Benz, along with you here on SportsNet Pittsburgh. And pleased to be joined right now by John Erby, wide receiver for the Duquesne Dukes, who's brought to us by Summit Academy and the Academy Schools, inspiring hope through education and treatment. John, thanks a lot for taking some time to join us. Greatly appreciate it. We were just speaking with Jerry Schmitt about you, head coach of the Dukes, before you came on, and what it meant, what you brought to the team right out of the chutes to be thought of enough to be a team captain, and how that sort of translates to the rest of the team. What was it about your personality and the way you approached your business early on as a Duke that made them want to make you a captain?
First of all, it was a huge honor, to have brand new teammates that think that much about me in such a short amount of time. But when I got here, all I did was put my head down, go to work, and I just bought into everything that was already here that I got here. It was attractive to me. Of course, I talked to Darius before I got here, and he plugged me in with the opportunity. But once I got here, they just showed me around. They showed me how things went. The leaders that were already here, they kind of showed me the ropes, and I just followed suit. And as spring and summer went on and fall went on, I just kept pushing the needle. I kept my room tight, the receiver room. I had individual and collective talks with people on the offense, just trying to get everybody on the same page and trying to motivate everybody. And all of that led to them picking me as a captain, like I said, which was a huge honor, and I'm really humbled by it.
Speaking about the receiving room staying tight, you guys have, I think, a diversified room in terms of what you guys can do, how you present yourself to Darius in given routes. There's a lot of flexibility for him. He's done a really good job moving the ball around, it feels like, this season, for everybody to keep everybody involved. When you got here, how did you see the evolution of that wide receivers room going, and as it manifested as the season has gone along?
When I got here, I could see, like you said, we all have different skill sets, but I could see how interchangeable everybody is. We could be on different spots at the field, but still know what we're doing no matter what happens. That way we can, start to eliminate tendencies like, oh, if he lines up here, this is what they're doing. Now we have 2 or 3 guys that can play a certain position, that can run certain routes. And that in turn puts everybody in position to make plays, and it's just on us to be ready for when it comes.
One thing I wondered about coming into the season, I've made this point a couple times in the broadcast and here in this setting too, is that within the wide receivers, you didn't have the tall, lanky, lean, down the numbers, or outside the numbers target. Like, you didn't have somebody, doesn't have to be as big as Cam Barmore last week for Mercyhurst, is 6'6", 230, but somebody of that ilk. You're kind of more of a smaller group of guys, but there's been enough separation where when Darius has had to go deep, you haven't needed a lot of the size to go up and get a lot of the jump balls, the 50-50 contests. You guys have done a nice job creating separation on the go route, so he's had some room to drop in passes.
That's the prototypical, receiver, the tall, the one that can just jump over people. And like you said, we don't necessarily have somebody that's 6'4" that can go out here and run routes and stuff. But as we've proven, you don't really need that. If you have a collective of guys like we have, that can all run routes, that can all catch, that all have speed, that can all make people miss, you don't need a jump ball. You need somebody who can create space and somebody that people have trouble checking. And in my opinion, that's all of us in my room.
Back to what you brought up about your relationship with Darius Parentis, going back to your time together at Rhode Island. When you first saw him come on campus there, did you see the potential for him to be what he is now at Duquesne? Did you see that if he had stayed in Rhode Island, could he be the same guy that he is here?
Absolutely. When he was my recruit when I was there and had him on a visit, and he ended up committing, and that first year that he was there, he just constantly showed flashes of like, whoa, like that was a veteran move. But he's only 18, and And it's not even just me that's saying it. Even the older guys at the time was like, Darius, he's going to be really good, and in my opinion, he should have been playing, but, how college football gets sometimes. People don't get the opportunities for whatever the reason may be. Mm-hmm. He did get a couple opportunities while he was there, and he made the most of it. But once he got here and I saw the things he was doing, I wasn't surprised at all.
Jerry and I were just talking about this before you came on. Did you like his block on Jamario Clements' run?
Oh, yeah. I mess with him because he does that in practice too. I mess with him like, stop doing that. I want him to stay healthy, but when you go on full speed and you give effort like that from a quarterback who handed the ball off and he ends up in front of the running back, you can't really ask for anything else,
Speaking of staying healthy, you've had your issues with injuries over the years during your college career. You mentioned, as we were speaking, wrist, knee, a couple other things as well. But you've obviously got football in your blood enough that you don't want to let it go. This is your 7th year of playing college football. Why stick with it this long through that many ailments?
The things that kept me from the field were out of my control. And, I redshirted in my 2018 year, played the 2019 year. 2020 was COVID. We didn't have a season. And then going into the 2021 season is when I had the 2 injuries. So 2022 was the first season I played in 3 years. But I knew how much I had left in the tank. I knew the potential I still had, and I was never going to give up no matter what happened. I was going to play this thing out until it ended, until I couldn't anymore. And that's what I'm doing. Like, I got faith from my family, faith in God, and just all that just kept me going.
Got Robert Morris this weekend, local rivalry. I know this is your first time playing in it. For a lot of guys now on this team, it's their first time because Robert Morris wasn't here for a while in the conference, went to the Big South, now they're back again. Do you have any local rivalries that you can pull from during your time, be it at Rhode Island or even playing high school ball? I know Rhode Island, you had, Bryant and Brown that were kind of local rivals for you, right?
Yeah. So we had local rivalries. But there's also those teams where the tension is just high.
You said Delaware kind of had that when you were there?
Delaware a little bit. Maine for sure. Maine, us in Maine, but us in UNH, but it's too while I was there. But even in high school, we had a couple of rivals right down the street from us, and it's cool to buy into it a little bit, but at the end of the day, you gotta focus on what you're doing. Mm-hmm. The dudes gotta focus on the dudes. It ain't ever about anyone else. It's about what we do, how we execute, and how we're gonna put ourselves in a position to win the game.
To that point, going up against a pretty good defense, they just pitched a shutout. Do you see them as the most challenging unit so far that you've had in conference play when it comes to their defense?
Yes, we're looking at this as the biggest game because it's the next game. This is the biggest game of the season because it's the next one up. Everything we do is next play mentality, next game mentality, good, bad, or indifferent. So it is a big game. It's a big challenge. But like I said, it's all about what we do.
Last thing, as far as adjustments at halftime, or at least improving after the first 2 quarters of play, I think a couple times this year, Youngstown State, most recently against Mercyhurst, maybe against St. Francis, too. You guys have been pretty good in the second half, even if the offense wasn't going 100% in the first half. What has allowed your team to do that?
The next play mentality. No matter what happens, whatever you do next can affect the game. It can change the game. I tell the guys all the time, all it takes is one. It takes one play, one block, one pass, one catch to create a spark. And now we got the momentum, And like I said, it's all about what we do. You can't get caught up in what happens, whether it was good, whether it was bad, because that doesn't help you for what's next. The game's not over until it's over. And that's how we have to play every game, every play throughout the season until it's done.
And Isabella's catch, first play out of the gates, the third quarter was a perfect example of that. Yeah. Set up a couple other big plays, Jamario's big run, and why don't you take us through your catch too that you had on that bomb from Darius?
Oh yeah. We were rolling. We started out around the 20-ish. We had a couple of good plays, had a couple of first downs, and we saw something in the defense that we wanted to exploit. And me and Darius was on the same page, and he put the ball in the perfect spot. I made the play.
And it's just a matter of running under it at that point, right? All right. Well, listen, appreciate the time. Thank you very much for joining us, and best of luck against Robert Morris.
Thank you for having me.
John Erby has been our guest here, wide receiver for the Duquesne Dukes. Again, brought to us by Summit Academy and the Academy Schools. Plenty more to come here on SportsNet Pittsburgh. A look behind the numbers, courtesy of the accounting and consulting firm Schneider Downs. Find out how big thinking with a personal focus can help your organization. The Duquesne offense is averaging an NEC best 29.6 points per game, as the Dukes have scored 30-plus in each of the last 5 games during the win streak. Senior quarterback Darius Parentes threw for multiple touchdowns for the 19th time in his career and 5th straight game. Parentes is now 2 touchdown passes behind 4th all-time in the Duquesne record books with 61 career touchdown throws in red and blue. Graduate student wide receiver Joey Isabella caught a touchdown for the 5th straight game and is now 3rd in the NEC with 6 on the season. The Duquesne receiving corps has a league-leading 4 players with 3 or more touchdown receptions, including Teddy Afool with 5, while John Erby and Jermaine Johnson have 3 apiece. Sophomore Jack Dunkley was active on the defensive side of the ball against Mercyhurst Saturday with 1.5 sacks. He is 3rd among NEC defenders this season with 5.5. With the Mercyhurst win, Duquesne, now 6-2 and 3-0 at home, has clinched a 500 or better record for the 29th time in 32 seasons at the FCS level, and a winning home record for the 15th straight year. That was a look behind the numbers, courtesy of the accounting and consulting firm Schneider Downs. Find out how big thinking with a personal focus can help your organization. On Saturday, November the 9th, the Dukes host fellow NEC unbeaten Robert Morris at Rooney Field. Kickoff is set for noon. For more information, visit GoDuquesne.com. This Road Ahead segment is brought to you by Dean Honda. Dean Honda. Visit them on Route 51 in Pleasant Hills or at DeanHonda.com.